Hey everyone, good to see you again. Thanks to everyone that stopped by again yesterday. And I want to just apologize. I did think that there was a baseball game on yesterday and told you I would talk about it today, but obviously I got my days mixed up. The game is tonight at 8 o'clock. So, obviously, no baseball news. Just going to be talking about hockey today. Actually, that's a lie. There's one tiny piece of baseball and basketball news, but very small. So, October 23rd, we're getting close to the end of the month, it's close to Halloween, and still some UFAs available on the market for the NHL. So, the one that we'll talk about first is probably the most obvious is Mike Hoffman still, where he's going to go, like we talked about in the last one. And he said to the media yesterday that he is open to signing a 1-year contract, which I don't think is really bad for his situation as long as he keeps up the goal pace that he has. Like if he's going to get 30 goals a year and he gets traded or he signs with a team 1 year and let's say they go to the playoffs, that's good and he might get a payday. But also if the team that he goes to underperforms, a 1-year deal is a rental player that can be traded away and traded to a contender that can use a guy like Hoffman, which every team, if he has on a 1-year deal, I'm pretty sure if you have the cap space, you'll go for it. So, well, again, I think it's going to drag out for a little bit, but now that it's become public, I think a lot more teams are going to want to negotiate with him and maybe even lock him down a little longer because they're going to want him in their long-term future, some teams. I could definitely see him going maybe even to a team like Dallas, just needing maybe a little bit more offense just to keep their team on the trajectory that it was. So, and we'll get to Dallas in a second, but I just wanted to talk about just some more news that came out. So it's kind of obvious news, but they had to announce it. So the NHL postpones the Winter Classic coming up in the new year, and also the All-Star Weekend. So that comes with no surprise, but postponement doesn't mean cancellation. It just means they have to figure it out in whatever way they can. Like I could totally see an All-Star Weekend still happening with obviously no fans, but we can't really speculate what it's going to be like that far ahead. Maybe they'll allow limited fans in if they have some bubbles and everyone's being tested. But they'll have to reschedule that, and the Winter Classic, I feel like, isn't nearly as important to the league as the All-Star Game, because the All-Star Game has, although it's kind of, a lot of people say it's kind of gimmicky now, but it has more roots in the league. Like, when you see that, like, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, and all the greats played in it, and it meant a lot to them, so they're going to make sure that that's on their agenda. So, back to the Dallas Stars. The main question is, so the Stars got that close to winning the Stanley Cup this year. Can they really keep their guys together? And they started off by answering that question today by signing Denis Gurianov to a 2-year deal, $5.1 million extension. He was a huge part to their Stanley Cup run, and he had overtime winners, some key goals, and he really, I think, even for me, like I knew Denis Gurianov was a good player, but I didn't know that, like how he actually could probably be a first line winger one day, and especially with the Dallas Stars having aging veterans, he has that chance to slide up in the roster. And if he could find and keep that consistent offensive game, he's like the door is wide open for him. So that is the main question. So they're keeping him because he was only a restricted free agent. So they had the primary negotiating rights with him. So they re-signed Anton Khudobin. They still have their goaltending tandem with him and Bishop, but how many players are really going to be sticking around for the long term? And how good does the Dallas Stars pipeline look? So we won't go over that, but that's probably going to be something that I will look at, like for each team, especially now that we're talking with the Dallas Stars. Probably start with the Dallas Stars and see what their prospect pipeline's like, and just get a more in-depth thing on them so that we can really answer that question. So, a couple more signings. Dmitry Kulikov signs a 1-year, $1.5 million deal with the Devils, and he was just coming off of a season with the Winnipeg Jets on another short-term deal. And so adding to the Devils, they're always needing some depth, some guys who can step in and play the lineup every day. So Kulikov to the Devils, and for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Dominic Simone re-signs 1 year, $700,000 league minimum, and kind of surprising that he's doing the league minimum because he's a good player for the Penguins. So I think maybe he can get like $1 million, but obviously he wants to stay in Pittsburgh, because they're always a cap team, they're always up near the top. So if you're not willing to negotiate with them, chances are you're on your way out. And he's a guy that could be sent down to the minors or claimed on waivers. So, onto the NBA for a second. So the NBA, they're talking about starting on Christmas Day, which isn't really a surprise because they were talking about that during the playoffs. So it looks like they're trying to keep that date, which would be nice because there are Christmas Day games on every year, like the Knicks and Lakers. Those big teams will play, and you'll whether you have your family over. I know it's probably not going to be like that this year, but you have your family over, you get to watch the NBA games, and it's great. And season opener would be a nice thing to see, and I think a really good morale boost for everyone going into the new year after that. So I don't know what you guys think. If you guys think that the NBA season starting up is a good idea or not, I personally do because they had a very good non-testing positive rate. So if they do the same thing that they did, or have multiple bubbles and make it so their families can visit, and maybe have a couple visits a year where they can be in there with them, make it a little more bearable on the mentally on the players, I think that's going to be a good idea. And so one piece of Major League Baseball news, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is a finalist for the Gold Glove on the Toronto Blue Jays for left field. I didn't find this a big surprise. A lot of people were saying, that it was a surprise, but he's really great with his glove. And it's nothing, a lot of people talk about his arm and everything, and that's the thing that stands out the most, but it's definitely, if you watch Blue Jays games every single one like I do, you see his athleticism, and you don't really think that he would have it because you see he's a little lanky, but the way that he tuck and rolls and pops back up reminds me of Kevin Kiermaier. He's a little bit more built though, but it's not really a surprise that he has. And I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't his first or last time being in the voting for the Gold Glove, because he's young. It was a short sample size with the season starting up, and over 162, he might not be able to be in the running, which isn't anything to hate against, but he's a good player and he's one of our core pieces, and good for him on getting the finalist. So, I'm going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs because they're my team, obviously. I'm not going to be biased or anything. I just want to talk about them in an unbiased way. So, I want to go over my expectations and what I think they need to do to improve their slot in the standings, which isn't a very difficult ask when I get to what the expectations are, and B, what they have to do to get out of that first round mental block. Okay, so the first thing is, will the defense make an impact? And not just the new people. I'm talking everyone. Are we going to be giving free passes to guys just because of their name and their ability? Or are they going to all come together and be able to make this Toronto defense effective? And the thing is, when you have a few years of just unproven defense and tooling with it, taking guys in and out, and even some cases our top six, or our bottom six pair, they, in my opinion, sometimes were on the Maple Leafs too early. And a perfect example was Calle Rosen. He always had raw talent, and we brought him up 2 years ago, and he looked completely overwhelmed. I don't this team. I think they're getting when they see young kids, they just think, oh, okay, a little bit. The Marlies, they're ready, and you don't want to ruin your prospects, and especially defense, because defense, it's a very difficult position to master, and you don't want to ruin their confidence. And that's the thing is, once they get confidence, you have to keep them at that level. So this year, for example, like I know Rasmus Sandin is ready. Timothy Liljegren always up in the air. We don't know. He's always has health concerns. Sometimes they said he looked really good on the Marlies this year, but he didn't look good on the Maple Leafs. So maybe in fresh new year, maybe a guaranteed spot on the team when it goes through camp. That might be a little confidence boost for him. So maybe that's what he needs. He needs some touches with the puck and stuff, So, and also the new guys. I also want to say like Zach Bogosian and TJ Brody. They need to also come in and prove why they were brought in. And the main guy I'm looking at is TJ Brody. Like he's going to be eating up minutes. We might be seeing him on a first pair with Riley, slip him up and down, like flip Muzzin and him, because Muzzin was up on the first and second. So it's going to be a deeper defense, but it has to be a responsible, effective defense. Otherwise, it won't be a difference. No matter whose name is on the back of the jersey. If you can't be effective and responsible, you're not going to be an effective defensive team. So, on to the next is about we have to win the games that we blew and basically shot ourselves in the foot with. So, if you're a fan of any hockey team, you know these things that I'm talking about. It's you're winning 2-1 in the third period. You lose 4-2. Empty netter. And it seems like it happened weekly. And then you see how many points you lost. And in the standings, where you are then, and then you look at the end of the season and say, oh, what if we won? What if we did? And then we would have had home ice. Or we wouldn't have matched up with X team. So, and I mean, that team, obviously, that is the Boston Bruins. Every Leafs fan is always, their knees shake when they hear that team's name if it's a matchup in the playoffs, because it's not that the fan is afraid. It's that we don't have confidence that in these guys that they can mentally do it and get over that roadblock. Because, when you get out of the first round, if you got out of it, take the blinders off because you got 3 more rounds to go. And the good teams are the ones that treat it like a business and get through the rounds effectively. So, we need to win the games that were thrown up in the air and we shot ourselves in the foot and ended up either missing out on a full 2 points or just getting 1 point. And just as importantly, we need wins from the backup. Aaron Dell and Jack Campbell, whoever plays better is going to get the backup job. They need to make saves. And I know this team is known for leaving guys out to dry, but backups need to make some saves. And all we're asking is every 3 to 4 starts, come in there, give us a chance to win. If you don't give us a chance, you can't be guaranteed being bailed out with the offense, So, and then that's the same for like pitching in baseball. Like the best pitcher could be on the mound, but if he gives up 1 run and his offense or defense isn't good, he can't do his job properly. So, and just the last point is to compete every night. And I know that sounds like a thing that like the coach would write on the board, compete, but again, everyone who's a sports team, or everyone who's a fan of sports they see it. They know when their team has shown up or not. And it seems like the teams that go to the Stanley Cup final or win the Stanley Cup, you don't see that in their game a lot. It's usually, you look at guys on their teams like Joe Pavelski, John Klingberg, their goaltender Anton Khudobin, just guys who you think like were either washed up or couldn't get the job done. And I know they didn't win the Stanley Cup, but they know how to show up every night. And you have to do that as a unit. So, I am going to wrap that up, my little spiel on the Leafs. But I have an idea for the Leafs in mind. But this weekend I'm going to be able to get the baseball video out that I wanted to do for you guys. And I'm going to be getting a laptop with some editing software. So I know I haven't edited the last 2 videos, but within a week or 2 I will have that at my disposal. I will be using my other laptop this weekend with the editing software, so I'll be toying around with it, but in a week to 2 weeks I'll consistently have a laptop with some editing software. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really excited to start doing some more in-depth videos on some things and doing a lot of research on it and keep me busy. So thanks again for everyone who's came by. Tonight, I hope you enjoy the game. Not yesterday, because it wasn't on yesterday. Tonight, enjoy Game 3 of the World Series. Dodgers, Rays. Who's going to take the series lead? Who's going to take the series in general? I know who I already said, but... So, enjoy your night. Thank you again, everyone, for coming by. Please comment down below what you think and what you want to see. And hit the like button and the subscribe button and hit the little bell so you'll get all the notifications. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.